Hi, everybody. My name is Howard Chao. On the line with me is Nick Sramek, my partner at Doon Insights, and we'll be your host today. Welcome to the 5th annual Fintech workshop at Bonny Doon, except this year not at Bonny Doon. I'm a reformed corporate lawyer and now an active early stage tech investor. I'm happily managing my own portfolio of some 40 positions in early stage tech companies, including quite a few in fintech. And I've been putting on these events in my mountain retreat in Bonny Doon near Santa Cruz for maybe 8 years now, in various sectors, including fintech. These have been very cozy, intimate events with maybe 50, 60 people coming and a group of top cutting edge startups to make demo and presentations to investors in their space. The concept is this, that we think that startups are really one of the best ways to get a window into what's happening in the world of tech, what's coming next. And so we've been choosing some of the most interesting, exciting startups to present to our audience, as well as inviting some leading investors and strategics to make discussion panels for our audience as well, and to give some context. So this was happening well for the last several years until, of course, COVID hit last year and we all went online. The online format taught us a few things. First of all, we realized, of course, that being online allowed us to give access to a lot more people. It allowed us to get bigger, and also it allowed us to have access to speakers around the world who may not have wanted to travel so far. So this year will be our first event on FinTech Online, and we have a much larger audience today than we would normally have. So I hope you will agree that it's a decent format, although it obviously doesn't allow us to have the interpersonal contact that we would at Bonny Doon. Now, many of you have asked me, when will we be going back to Bonny Doon? And I guess the answer to that is pretty simple. We will go back, but it will probably end up being a hybrid event. I think most people plan on hybrid events now because they see the benefits of being online as well as the benefits of being in person. And so I'm guessing maybe this fall or even late this summer, we'll be back in Bonny Doon with some of our events. So I hope that some of you will join us there as well. Let's now talk a little bit about today. What a tragic, chaotic, but also amazing 12 months it's been this last year. COVID has accelerated a lot of the trends, as we know, that were already happening in tech in general, but also, of course, in fintech. Remote has become the norm. Digitalization of everything has been happening and accelerated. Not only just generally SaaS products, but also in particular banking as a service, insurance as a service, financial products as a service, everything as a service. The top fintechs, whether it's PayPal or Stripe or Square or others, have made tremendous strides during the pandemic, and much more so than the market as a whole, even though the market, as we know, has been very ebullient. And despite COVID, there's been a lot of deal making, much more than you would expect in the middle of a pandemic. And there's been a market increase in investments in fintech, particularly funding for payments, banking, capital markets, and SMB business. So the year 2020 was very much an inflection point in many ways, and we'll be talking about that today. And 2021 promises to be yet another tumultuous and perhaps exciting year. So we have a terrific program for you today. It's very content rich. There's a lot of things that will be happening today. You'll have some choices because we have dual tracks for the startups. But in summary, we have 10 exciting and cutting edge startups for you to hear from, as well as 8 other sessions, 3 of which will be um, keynote speeches and fireside chats. And then there will be 5 other discussion panels by leading investors and strategics during the course of the day. So before I hand this over to Nick to tell us more, let me just give a few thank yous. First of all, we of course should thank our sponsor, O'Melveny, which is one of the leading law firms, and my former law firm. They have been a loyal sponsor of several of our events over the years. And my former partner, Eric Sibbett, will be speaking today. And one of the panels, he is the head of the Fintech practice at O'Melveny and a terrific lawyer, and I highly recommend him to you. Second, I would like to thank the community of supporters and investors that have been coming to my events for the many years. Those are the people that recommend the startups to us that we choose from and highlight and showcase to you. They help us basically make this program possible. So thank you for that. And then finally, let me thank the Doon Insights team, my partner Nick, who's been working very hard, as well as all the others, Andrew and Kevin, and then our outside IT consultants, James and Alina. So let me thank all of them as well. Now let me turn the program over to my partner, Nick Sramek, who's going to tell us more about today's scheduled content and some of the logistics of today. Nick?
Great. Thanks, Howard. And as you say, it's been a wild year in tech in general, but especially in fintech. And it's going to be obviously the topic of the day, and how startups are responding to the issues and how investors are looking at the sector differently. So I'm really looking forward to this day. So just a few other things before we begin our first session. So the full and updated schedule is available on the event page. If you have any questions about what's next, it'll be up there, as well as in the virtual ticket, which we sent you earlier, which is how you arrived here. Do keep in mind that there are a few small changes to the agenda. So after our first session in this main room, we'll head to the breakout rooms. So apart from this main webinar room, we'll have 2 concurrent breakout sessions. And so those links are in your virtual ticket as well. Do keep in mind that these sessions are being recorded. So if you can't make it through the entire day, they will be available for you later on this week. We have 2 networking platforms as well available for you. So our Slack channel is up and running right now. If you want to continue the conversation there throughout the day, please do so. And then we also have GatherTown, which is our social networking platform, which is pretty fun. You have an avatar that you move around the room. We'll have 4 times throughout the day during our breaks when that room will be open. If you have any questions for the panel or startups, please do drop them into the Q&A throughout the course of these webinar sessions. For the breakout sessions, we want to make those as interactive as possible. So don't be shy to speak up and ask questions throughout the presentations. We encourage people to keep their cameras on, so this is not a passive session, but we'll talk about those more later as we approach those sessions. Other than that, just to quickly break down what our schedule looks like for the day. So we have a session this morning on API infrastructure before we head into our first set of breakout sessions for 6 startups in total. Then we'll come back here for a keynote address by Brian Brooks before our mid-morning break. Then after that, we have a fireside chat on uncovering fraud in global fintech and lessons from Wirecard before a session on regulatory trends. And then we have our midday break, and then late in the afternoon at 3 p.m. Pacific, we'll begin again with sessions on insurtech, embedded finance, looking at how fintechs are disrupting the dollar, and then last for the evening is the state of fintech in Asia. So it should be a great day with lots of time for networking, lots of startups that are doing really interesting things in this space. And I hope you can all enjoy us for as much of the day as possible.